In this video, we will see the levels of measurement for variables. A variable is a characteristic or trait that describes a person, thing, place, or idea. Like the name says, a variable can vary or change from one entity to another. It can change from person to person, place to place, or time to time. An example of a variable is the height of a person, which is different from person to person. And in one person, it is different from time to time. Variables can be measured at 4 levels. The lowest level, or the most basic level for variable measurement, is the nominal scale. This is followed by the ordinal scale, interval scale, and finally the ratio scale, which is the most advanced and precise level of variable measurement. The level of measurement that a variable takes depends on what the variable is and the research question. We should specifically define the level of measurement for a variable because this decides which statistical test to use for its analysis. We will now look at each level of measurement in detail. The first level of measurement is the nominal scale. The word nominal comes from the Latin word nomen, which means name. A nominal scale uses names to classify values into groups. Each group is given a name based on certain characteristics. The groups are different only by the name, and there is no other relation between the groups. An example of the nominal scale is gender of a person. Gender can have 2 groups which are given the names male and female. The second level of measurement is the ordinal scale. The word ordinal comes from the Latin word ordinalis, which means relating to the order in a series. Like the nominal scale, the values of the ordinal scale are classified into groups which are given names. But in an ordinal scale, there is a natural order for the groups. This means that the groups can be ranked or placed in only one order. An example is education level. The groups of this variable are named elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. These groups can be placed only in this order. Let us now compare the nominal scale and ordinal scale. In the nominal scale, the groups are only given names. There is no order between them. For example, males do not come before females and females do not come before males. However, in an ordinal scale, the groups are given names and also put in an order. For example, education level, economic status, etc. The third level of measurement is the interval scale. The word interval means space in between. The values of an interval scale are named and they have a natural order. In addition, there are equal spaces in between the values. That is, the intervals between the values are equal. An example is IQ score. The groups of this variable are named 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. These groups have a name and a natural order. In addition, there is an equal space in between the groups. For example, the space between the IQ score of 80 and 81 is the same as the space in between the IQ score of 94 and 95. Let us now compare the ordinal scale and interval scale. In ordinal scale, the groups are named and ordered, but the space in between the groups is not equal or meaningful. If we take education level for example, we cannot say that the space between middle school and high school is the same as the space between high school and college. These spaces are not meaningful. However, for an interval scale like the example we saw of IQ score, the space between IQ score of 80 and 81 is the same as the space in between an IQ score of 94 and 95. The space between two consecutive IQ scores is the same and is meaningful. Also, we can perform addition and subtraction on variables of the interval scale. We can say that a person with an IQ score of 110 has an IQ that is 10 points higher than someone with an IQ score of 100. But in an ordinal scale, we cannot say that a person in college is 2 levels higher than a person in middle school. The fourth level of measurement is the ratio scale. This is the highest level of measurement. In this level, the values are named, ordered, and there are equal meaningful intervals in between. In addition, these variables have an absolute zero. An absolute zero or a meaningful zero is a zero which means the absence of something. An example is the weight of a person in kilograms. The groups of this variable are named 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. These groups have a name, a natural order, and equal spaces between the values. In addition, it has an absolute zero, that is, 0 kg means the absence of weight. Let us compare the interval scale and ratio scale. In interval scale, the values are named, ordered, and there are equal intervals, but there is no absolute zero. For example, an IQ score of 0 does not mean the absence of intelligence. It just means that the person has scored 0 on the IQ test, but it does not signify the absence of intelligence. So this 0 is arbitrary and not meaningful. In contrast, for a ratio scale like weight, 0 kg does mean the absence of weight, and so it is a meaningful 0. We can perform multiplication and division for variables on the ratio scale since it has an absolute zero. We can say that a person with a weight of 80 kgs weighs twice as much as a person with a weight of 40 kg. But in an interval scale, we cannot say that a person with an IQ of 120 is twice as intelligent as a person with an IQ of 60. Because the values of a ratio scale can be compared, this scale is called the ratio scale. The word ratio means comparison of two or more numbers that indicates their sizes in relation to each other. Let us do a quick recap. A variable can be measured on 4 levels. The lowest level is the nominal scale in which the values of the variable can only be named. The second level is the ordinal scale in which the values can be named and ordered. The third level is the interval scale in which the values can be named, ordered, and have equal intervals in between. The highest level is the ratio scale, in which the values can be named, ordered, have equal intervals in between, and have an absolute zero. The four levels of measurement are nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. If we take the first letter of each scale, it spells Noir or noir. Noir is the French word for black, and it might help remember the order of the levels. In this video, we have seen the four levels of measurement of a variable.